on the real, I do like how this quarantine has spawned this weird introvert camaraderie. Oh shoot. Of course I get hiccups right when we go live. Oh, sign into chat, man.
Ray.
Hello.
It's where we can see what we're actually painting. And everyone can hear me as well. So it's not just y'all talking to the void.
Excellent.
Oh, I didn't realize they couldn't hear you.
So,
welcome.
Hawaii Flower Child in the chat.
You know, I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it? Because I do want to talk about it, actually.
I honestly, I have nothing to say.
But yeah, there's really no defense there. Alright, you know what else I'm going to do, actually? I'm going to make it to where... So are y'all watching the stream right now?
I'm watching, but I have it on mute because there's an audio delay.
Okay.
Did you make your face cam look like a Photoshop window?
Yes, I did. Because it looks like it...
Because you're a work of art?
Yeah, that's why. No, it's because I'm a work in progress. I'm as messy as this painting is.
I like how the kid is totally down with what's happening right now. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, the kid did not like these Cheerios and is very excited that dropping them means that this dog can have them. That's what I was like as a kid. My parents always would insist that I don't just feed the dog my food, and why? Why not? Okay. So Alex, I remember when in the meeting, when we were talking about what to talk about on this stream, you had a whole thing planned, an itinerary.
Yeah.
30 minute by 30 minute, and it has all left my brain. I don't remember any of it.
No worries. I'm happy to chime in there and get it all started, and you can focus on the good work that you're doing there.
Thank you.
So yeah, hey everybody, this is Alex, and I'm the designer, inventor, founder of a game called Dogs Bond. And if this is your first time joining us, we are a mission-driven project. The game, if you don't know, but you're on this stream, amazing. But if you don't know, our game is focused on the conversation about rescues. So the players are going to take on the role of a dog at a shelter, where they will collect and sometimes compete with each other for the attributes they need to be adopted into one of 6 forever homes. And then I'll just introduce our wonderful illustrator, Sarah Mills. And she's the one who's in the camera there, as well as the one sharing screen. So thank you, Sarah, for making all this happen.
Sure thing.
And we've also got on the line our designer extraordinaire, Kiki.
Hello.
Yeah, and so our team is small but mighty. And what we're trying to do is, bring to the market in 2020 here a product that really speaks to dog people. We are a board game, card game, but taking you through the dog's perspective of getting rescued. I think that, the response that we've gotten so far from a lot of different rescue organizations has been very positive. They are interested, of course, in anything that promotes responsible dog ownership, as well as, talking and extending out some volunteering opportunities, ways to get involved in our local communities, and bringing that forwards. So thanks if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this, in the future of now, however that works. Welcome. So yeah, I guess I can start off by start off the conversation really by saying again thank you to Sarah and Kiki, and I want to share a little bit of the story of how we all got together. So as a team to work on this project. So in 2017, I started developing and designing this game, and I had a lot of start stops. And then probably in 2018, end of 2018 to 2019, I was desperately trying to find an artist who could really breathe life into a game like this, and looking for a designer who could help the kind of game elements very well communicate what you had to do in the game, but also to allow the art to shine through. And it's this careful balance that, well, I know I couldn't make. If you've seen any of the Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter posts of my art, that was probably one of the most compelling reasons for anyone in the art world to get involved, right? Taking a look at my art. So yeah, that was kind of the start, or that was the beginning of the end of the running around and really the start of taking it very seriously. And I would love to kind of hear, Sarah, your take on how well, first of how you found out about it, and then your take on kind of our experience when we actually got to meet each other in December out there in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. And you want to know what I thought when I saw your art and, just kind of my assessment of the project?
You could critique it. Yeah, absolutely.
No, I mean, honestly, it wasn't it was, I didn't even feel the need to critique, because I was like, wow, it's really cool that you are willing to do something so far outside your comfort zone and try and because I have worked with folks, commissioners, how I wished so bad that they would pick up a pencil and attempt to try and do the things that they were asking me to do. Yeah, I was actually really impressed that you did some drawings and posted them. But yeah, no, I found the project through a Discord server that I'm on, actually, that is, it's a bunch of artists who are all freelancers and professionals and folks just, passing around work. And I really didn't know whether or not I would be a good fit for the project at first. I love dogs, and I mean, it sounded fun, but you were also asking for a really tight timeline, and I was like, I don't know. So I was just like, what the hell? I'll fill out the form. I was impressed by your super thorough form and all the things you were asking for from artists. So I was just kind of why not, when I filled the form out. And then I don't know what the delay was for me filling out the form to getting an email back that was like, hi, thanks so much, we got so much response, and we'll be in contact with all the people who applied. And I remember being like, the hell did I apply for? The time from applying and getting the email was such that I was like, oh, what is this? But shortly thereafter, I was like, I remembered applying and was really excited that oh yeah, the dog job. That's what I kept thinking of it as. I was like, the job where I get to draw goofy pictures like this of dogs. Hell yeah. But yeah, I think, and it was just I was always struck, Alex, by your you kept making allusions to being outside your comfort zone in terms of art directing and working with artists, but you were also, and are still, extremely thorough and willing to give us whatever we need to make it make sense. The first brief that we got for the art test was crazy thorough. You kept talking about how you hadn't worked with artists, and to me, I'm thinking okay, so I'm gonna have to do everything for this guy. But no, it was the opposite. You were just so prepared, and yeah, it was great.
I had about a year to think about exactly what it is I needed, and asking around, and kind of going through these networks. It was very interesting. I learned a lot, and my New Year's resolution for 2020 was, how can I suck really hard at something brand new? And I am crushing it. I am it's amazing. And so I really appreciate that you were able to take what kind of what I had as really just sketches on index cards, you know, and then kind of these game elements, and really understand that there's some playfulness, whimsy, you know, and it was really, um, it could have been very dangerous to have a game that felt really heavy and really sad. And I'm very, very glad that, you know, with an artist, you know, bringing that forwards, like yourself, who can, you know, show the joy of these dogs and these animals, you know, no matter what their circumstance is, right? Because they're just living their best life and they're in the moment. And I think that's what makes these animals so great and so worthwhile to support, kind of as our mission. So, thank you. So, I will ask a question. So, and this kind of ties into how Kiki you got involved. So, Sarah, you got a chance to play the game and then teach the game, right? You know, all in one, all in a few days, not even a week, just a few days. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience there, and then how that experience brought you to even talk to Kiki about it?
Well, so the game, like, it has a very, like, I mean, I know that you know this, Alex, but I guess for folks who haven't played the game, like, at first it feels, or at least for me anyway, I was a little bit overwhelmed, but, like, as soon as I got it, you know? And so there was this, like, almost addictive sort of, like, I wanted other people to play. It was, I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but that just fun, I guess, the contagion of how fun the game was made me want to talk to everyone I know about it. And I know Kiki very well. She's one of my best friends. We've been friends for like 10 years at this point. God, we're old.
I know.
But yeah, it's
Envy now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've been friends for so long. It was just one of those things where I wanted to tell all my friends and everyone I know, like, hey, first of all, this game is really cool. Second of all, I get to do the paintings for it. And yeah, and Kiki being who she is, an incredible designer, as I was talking about, like, the design problems, and Alex, when we met in Raleigh in December to try and, like, workshop the art direction a little bit, one of the main problems that we had was trying to figure out the vibe, the feel of the art direction, not just the illustrations, but what the design was going to look like. And so, since I'm not a graphic designer, those problems, and Kiki is, those were the problems that I would talk to her about the most, because that's what I was struggling with. And just her being who she is on the phone before I even pitched, like, hey, do you want to do this for money? She was just, like, asking me design questions and sending me examples of what it might look like and trying to figure that out. And then I passed that on to Alex, like, hey, so, you know, this giant problem we have, someone I know who is great is kind of, like, fixing all the problems within the space of one phone call. Do you want to investigate that a little bit more?
Absolutely. So then, Kiki, you saw where the design was, and listen, my PowerPoint game is fire, and I'm but you know, printing cards and, like, not really having, like, aligned borders, or, you know, I just cut along this line. I'm dying to know, because I actually haven't heard this story. What did you think when you had it first in your hands?
Oh boy. I mean, honestly, I feel like I was in the same boat as Sarah. I was just kind of like, I really admire the spirit of this game, you know, the goal of it, and I was like, I don't know, I've never seen someone try and step out like that, you know, and really go for it. So I was like, I would be glad to help.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a you know, we're artists, and everybody does a rough sketch, you know, like in every kind of thing. There's always a first draft of a script, there's always a wireframe for a web page. Like, that's, you know, it is not a, oh god, this is horrible, we need to fix it. It's like, this is somebody who clearly, like, cares enough about this concept to be uncomfortable, and that's the kind of thing that you can't like money can't buy that. You know, if you're willing to go so far out of your way to do something that, like, I mean, you're right, your PowerPoint game is fire, and I'm like, everybody is impressed when they hold those cards, like, wait, PowerPoint can do that? You know, everybody's impressed by it, but it's also like that, you know, if you're willing to struggle through with it, then it, you know, it does not matter that they're rough. Like, this holds more than just, you know, what PowerPoint can do, if that makes
Right,
sense.
it's like the, like we keep saying, the vibe, the spirit of it.
Mm-hmm.
You could definitely feel that even through, you know, PowerPoint.
Yeah, I do have a friend who, when I play tested it with him, he and I were just getting to know each other, and actually now he's a game designer as well.
Wow.
But when we first started talking, you know, I was like, "Hey, would you mind testing this out? Let's see how it goes." And he played with it, and he goes, "Yeah, this is really cool. How did you make the cards?" And I go, "Well, PowerPoint." And he looked at me, and goes, "You did this on PowerPoint?" Come to find out, he works for Microsoft
Whoa.
on PowerPoint.
Word.
Really impressed by, you know, the fact that he was holding game cards, which, you know, functioned,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, got the concepts across, and the game didn't break when he tested it, and he was like, "Wow, that's really great." And I was like, "Wait, you work at PowerPoint?" He's like, "You did this on PowerPoint?" So immediately I was like, "You need more icons. Like, I am stuck, like, more colors.
Yeah.
You know, I've got 6 colors that I'm working with here, buddy. Like, help me out." So that was a fun conversation.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. So Kiki, given that, and actually I'm dying to know from both of you guys too while we're doing this. Maybe Kiki, you can go first. Are you guys big gamers? Are you like, have you done much with gaming, either video games or you know, board games with
no.
family or anything like that? Or is this just completely outside of your wheelhouse? And yeah, I'm just kind of curious.
All right. Well,
Kiki, do
man,
you
are you
want to
sure
go
you want me to go first? Yeah. Okay, I guess
You don't have to
I'll
go first. I'll go ahead and say I'm an MLG gamer.
Oh,
That isn't
I was
true.
gonna say something to that effect. No, I definitely, I love games. Like, I've been playing video games probably since I was old enough to hold like a little one of those Game Boy Colors, like the original OG. First game I ever remember playing was Pokemon Blue. And then from there I just was totally hooked. I Oh man, I also love board games. I think it's from living with my grandparents for so long. We would always have like game nights every once in a while. I was the best at Monopoly.
Oh.
Yeah, and
I don't think you and I have ever finished a game of Monopoly.
no, we haven't, because I feel like I value our friendship too much.
And also, we haven't finished a game of Monopoly. We have been in a game of Monopoly where I have been. I hate to say it. It was not just you playing. It was other people. It's not like she was beating me this bad, but I have been in a game of Monopoly where Kiki was present, where I was bartering actual real life skills in an attempt to pay off my debt because I couldn't accept losing.
It's really funny, actually, because I never used to be competitive, but I think what started it was one of my other good friends. He played this game. I'm sure you're familiar with it. It's called League of Legends. And he begged me to play, and I said no because it sounds like trash. And then he was like, "Let me make you a bet." And so I don't remember what exactly it was, but I definitely lost the bet, and I definitely had to start playing League of Legends. And then I was hooked for like, do you remember how long I was playing League, Sarah?
I do not remember, but it's been a long, long, long time.
It was a couple of years, and then I got to the point where I started playing ranked, and I tried to get better and better. And I feel like that's what really made me start getting really competitive. So it's now at the point where I'm playing a card game where everybody wins, everyone's adopted, it's about dogs, and I'm trying to get the best
Still,
house and
Still wildly
knock everyone
competitive.
else out of the way.
Yeah.
Jerry is mine.
Yeah.
Jerry's yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome.
I'm not a big board game person. I always enjoy playing board games when I do. It's just not something that was ever like in my sphere my friends play with. I do play video games though, or video game I should say. There's one game that I play and then I supplement it with like Pokemon games and other like, I don't know. I enjoy like Skyrim and stuff like that, but like I'm not, I don't know. I love video games. I love the art of them. I love the, I don't know, creativity that goes into them. I love learning about them, but I'm just not a big, like, I don't know. It feels weird calling myself a gamer despite the fact that I do play PUBG basically every single night.
I mean, I don't know. I think that makes you a gamer. You're a gamer in my heart.
And that's all that matters.
Oh, you brought up Pokemon, and I feel like that's another funny story.
Yeah, that's...
The fact that you...
Yeah.
When was this? Man, it was really early on.
Yeah, it was really early on. Kiki is responsible for getting me into Pokemon. I was 16 at the time.
Yeah.
No, I was 15,
That sounds
and then
right.
my 16th birthday, Soul Silver came out. She mailed me, sent me in the mail to Pokemon Leaf Green and Pokemon Emerald. And I was hooked immediately. I played a lot of Leaf Green, and then Soul Silver came out for my 16th birthday, and I started playing that. And now I am so far down the Pokemon rabbit hole, more so than a lot of people I know, to the point where I have drawn pictures of every single Pokemon that exists in order and it took me like 7 years. Yeah.
I'm just now realizing, is that my fault?
Yes!
Did I subject you to this nightmare?
Yes, it is expressly your fault.
I mean, she told me she had never played a Pokemon game. I was like, how have you been on this earth for 16 years and you've never played Pokemon? I must mail you a copy right now.
True. True.
Yeah.
True. My first Pokemon game was I did Pokemon Red, and then I had Yellow, and it was on the like Jihugic Black and Green Game Boy, and
Not even the color.
and so no, color was much later. My sister had it, so so I would she'd pop in the cartridge, and I remember trying to be a Pokemon master, you go through and you try to level up your Pokemon kind of at the same time, right? You're like, oh, everybody's level 31 through 33 and 40 through 43 at the same time. Not my sister. She got her Charizard level 90 and everybody else was level 2.
Hell yeah.
But then, and so we had the cable, and so I tried to battle her, and it's like, oh yeah, I got 6 Pokemon that are level 50 and she only had 1 that's level 100. Nope, guess what? Slash at level 100 when you're at level 55, there is no one shot ownage. I was like, what the? I was like, oh, well, all right, and that's awesome. So and so we're looking at what, 800 Pokemon. So you've drawn 800 Pokemon, Sarah?
Yep. All individually. They're all individual stickers that I sell at conventions. It was a bad idea. It seemed like a better idea in 2013, but no, it was ill-advised all along.
Yeah, you would be surprised as to how much paper weighs when in huge bulk quantities in big plastic buckets.
Yeah, Kiki knows this because she has to go to conventions and help me sell them. We share a table and everything, but the problem is that the Pokemon stickers, we sell them a la carte. So there's a big book that you can flip through and pick which. We sell them in sets of 6, because your Pokemon team, and so the person only walks away with 6, but behind the table we have to have boxes and boxes of all of this sticker stock, thousands of stickers, and so I have them all organized as much as you can organize them, but it's still kind of a nightmare, and they're really popular, and poor Kiki has to help me hawk these Pokemon stickers to people. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it is your fault that happened, because you did mail me the cartridges, so I feel like maybe I shouldn't feel so bad.
I am sufficiently paying for my crimes.
That is true, yeah.
Awesome. So given your love of, like, you know, kind of having your team and like leveling up your dog, right? Or your Pokemon, you kind of do the same thing with the dog, right? Like in the game where like you're kind of adding, you know, you're adding different traits, you're adding different attributes to it. Yeah, you got to get your stats, right? And it's a stat building game. You know, so I'm curious now, like, you know, how did it feel? Because I know, you know, you both have played. How did it feel to try to build the stats for one dog? Like, I mean, obviously it's different than 6, but like when you're building it, and then of course building the stats, seeing the stats that the other player is building, and then of course, Kiki, you got to share your Jerry story. That's just too good. It's too good.
Well, it's really interesting. Like, at the first time I played the game, it didn't feel as much. It kind of felt like I was at the mercy of the cards. And then, Alex, you asked what it was like to try and like learn it and then turn around and teach it. Very quickly, I started picking up on that kind of like Pokemon mindset of strategically choosing which cards you were going to play and like how you were going to, you know, which attributes you're going to build on your dog. I very quickly started attempting to metagame it, and that made it a lot more difficult to attempt to teach, because I couldn't, like, in my brain, I couldn't parse out, like, okay, what do you literally know to play the game versus what are the MLG pro tier strats, the 3,000 IQ plays that I've been doing to attempt to get my dog adopted.
Gotta galaxy brain it.
Yeah. Jeez, do you want to talk about Jerry? Is the wound too fresh?
You know, it's hard. Basically, what happened was Sarah explained to me the rules of the game, and I, over everything else, understood that house number 1 was worth 1 bonus point, and house number 6 was worth 6 bonus points. And I told myself, why would anyone mess with house number 1 when you can go to house number 6? And my boy Jerry just so happened to be shacked up at the most fancy residence on the street. So I was like, I am not quitting this game until I am at Jerry's house. It was a real tough slog. And then this guy decided he was going to move away. It was, I mean, honestly, if nothing else, it kind of speaks to the design of the game, to which, like, you really feel it when they're like, I'm moving, and you're like, no, but I loved you. I thought what we had was special, and you're gonna leave.
Don't leave me like that. Don't do me like that.
Yeah, that's what I felt. I was like reading the card like 3 times, like, is that really what it means?
Yeah. Yeah, it should be noted that in this, so if there's anybody watching who doesn't know how the like what we're referring to, how the game works, Jerry, being an adopter, can like move away if you draw the wrong event card. And so earlier on in the game, like I was explaining this to Kiki, thinking like she might be helping us design this, so, you know, I just wanted to show her everything about the game. And at first I pulled some of the event cards out. There's 60 total, but if you want to play with 2 players, you remove some of those cards. And so I removed a stack of cards and put it in the box. Yeah. But Kiki was like, hey, what'd you do that for? I want to see all the event cards. If I'm going to be designing this thing, I have to know all of the cards. So I go, okay, and put all of the cards back. So in that stack that I had removed were the moving cards. If she hadn't insisted on seeing all the cards, then Jerry wouldn't have moved away. So, like, you know, we started this as a very academic, like, okay, I'm the designer. I need to know what the game is like. And then by the time we were playing it, we got so invested, she wanted to be at Jerry's house so bad, and then she draws the moving away card that removes her path to victory to getting adopted by Jerry. And yeah, it was a kind of a cruel irony there.
Still burns. But the dramatic irony of it was I still ended up at was it Jared's house? He was
I
house
think
number
so.
5.
House number 5, yeah.
Yeah, and I ended up at his house instead, and I think I won by 2 points.
No, it was 1 point.
1 point?
It was a singular point.
That's
Of course,
awesome.
she wouldn't forget that it was just one.
Yeah.
But,
never forget.
yeah.
That's so funny because like, so, you know, for me having, you know, started it and then played it, you know, designing it all the way from like index cards to, you know, what was then the prototype back in December. When I first played against Sarah and taught her how to play,
Oh yeah,
she just destroyed me. She won by like, was it like 10 or 20 points?
It was just like that,
it was just incredible.
Yeah,
it was just, and I was like, oh, well, I designed it.
And what's funny is like, since that was the first time I had played, I didn't really understand how crazy unlikely the cards that I was drawing and playing were. Like, I was getting all of the, like, you kept making comments about like, well, that's statistically unlikely, and I just thought it was sour grapes because you were losing so bad. But no, like, it really, how many like 3-point attribute cards are there for like grooming?
There are three 3-pointers for the attributes.
Okay.
With the exception of instinct, which only has 2 of the 3-pointers.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, so like out of like, you know, four opportunities, like 12, 14 3 cards, like 14 3 value cards, you had like maybe 7.
Yeah.
And I was
outrageous.
Yeah, it was kind of obscene.
And I was like, hey. Like,
Yeah.
and early in the game
Yeah.
as well. It
Yeah,
wasn't
my
like we, you
victory
know,
wasn't
we
sure.
didn't. Yeah, and so I was just looking like, well, okay.
At first,
I
kind
was
of thought
delighted.
that you were.
I was
like,
delighted to have you win, though.
Yeah,
I was delighted
thought
to have
you
you
were,
win,
like,
and
stacking the deck so that I would win or something because it was like the first time I had played. But no.
Oh,
I need to go
cool.
back.
Yeah.
and-
So
Sorry.
no, please.
You know, we did an Instagram story update from that shop, and I held up some of the cards that I had in my hand, like, or my attribute cards.
Right. Yeah.
So I need to go back and see how many 3 cards I'm holding, just to further appreciate how again, very statistically unlikely it was that I got that hand.
Yeah. Well, hopefully others will be able to, you know, as the project goes on, you know, hopefully we're talking to the right folks and bringing folks in so that they can also share in these kinds of stories, because I think this is the kind of experience that, you know, being a game designer, you really strive for, you thrive for, right? Games that you play maybe once, and even though it's your first time, you might have a great story out of it, right? And that was one of the reasons why I created a board game card game, is that, you know, my day job brings me with screens all of the time, and so it's kind of a rebellion against that. How can we create an experience that is back to tactile, back to, you know, face-to-face interactions? And so that's been kind of the driving force behind building a casual, family-friendly game. But of course, it's to make sure that best friends who have known each other forever, who you know, I won 1 point ahead. Like, yeah, you know. So I'll ask another question. So Kiki, what did you think the first time you heard about the game, the mission, the, you know, the opportunity? I mean, I'm sure, or I'm guessing, because, you know, there was less of a lead up when we brought you onto the project, into the super team. Everything was thrown at you. What did you pick up on? What was the most interesting? What has become the most interesting?
Those are all very good questions. I think from our initial phone conversation when Sarah was talking to me about it, I knew she had been doing paintings for a dog-related project, And then when she kind of explained the need for design solutions, that's kind of when I was like, oh. She was like, we need this, and I was like, I could do that. And she's like, and we need this. I was like, I could also probably do that. And she's like, and this too. And I was like, yeah, I can do all of those things. But I was also trapped in the day job nightmare. But I think similar to your story, Alex, I was just kind of like, I need something to break this up, you know? There's only so many pictures of ice cream I can look at all day. So.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Sorry, y'all. Hang on. My Discord has decided we're gonna restart.
So
No. I think, Sarah, we lost you for a moment there.
Yeah,
so sorry about that.
Discord. Sorry, y'all.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You were saying that you look at ice cream all day and you needed to break it up.
I did, yes.
You needed to break the ice. You needed to thaw it out. That's right, folks. These people work with me willingly.
Yep. More willingly than you know.
That really speaks to the game. We like this game and this project so much that those are the kind of caliber puns that we allow to happen.
I'm trying here.
Yeah. But no, I think when I was going through my training as a designer, the thing that they beat into our heads more than anything else was that design is creative problem solving. And for me, when Sarah was talking about it, it sounded like there were a lot of problems that needed to be...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I pitched you all the problems.
Yes. A lot of problems that needed to be creatively solved, and so that was when I was like, well, that's my bat signal, here I come. So
yeah, because I mean, again, like when I was
Oh no, you're fine, go ahead.
When I was calling you about this, it was not as like, hey, designer colleague, can you do a consult? It was like we were just on the phone catching up as friends, and then I was like talking about all these things at work essentially that I didn't know how to fix, but you just do because you're good at it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like once you've done a thing for several years, you kind of just instinctively know how to do certain things. As I'm sure you know, watching you do things with the lasso tool that I don't even understand. So yeah, and I think the premise sounded super fun. The game itself sounded like it could be super fun, and I felt like I just it seemed like an opportunity to be part of something super cool. And I was like, yeah, I'll help.
Well, we're really glad to have you. Yeah. So what to date has been the greatest design win for us, would you say? I mean, besides moving beyond the limitations of my fire PowerPoint skills.
That is a difficult question. I think for me, it's been kind of finding a way to develop a conduit for this really fun art without distracting from it. And I feel like we've created an appropriate shell for it. I feel like it's kind of like a capsule. So, and I think it's been really fun to kind of work through some of the more heady problems, like the board issue that we recently overcame. I just feel like a lot of the designs as a whole have been pretty interesting to me personally, but I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of background, I'll say mathematics that goes on that doesn't necessarily make it out to the surface. That I don't know. It's like a personal triumph for me, at least. So.
Well, I mean that's something
that makes sense.
That comes up that we've said a few times about good design is invisible, and so ideally the folks watching and the people playing aren't gonna see the design and the struggle and like all the cute or the smart solutions that we've put in there. They're just gonna see, like, they're just gonna play the game and not even think about it,
Right.
And then they'll also see like, and then if we ever brought it up to them, they'd be like, well, how else would you solve it?
Yeah.
Obviously, this is the
Yeah.
natural,
Yeah.
logical solution. Why did it take you 26 months, Alex? Like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, in that same era, I feel like I've gained a lot of respect for people who design games all the time, because I play Monopoly and I don't think of all the people that had to sit down in a room and decide, how are we going to present this idea? To me, it's just Monopoly. So I'm hoping that people who play this game will have a similar experience and just say, oh, well, it's just dog spawn.
I pause here for a second. So what are you doing there, Sarah, on the screen with
On
the
the snoot?
nose and like in the boop snoot? I mean, this is
Yeah.
this is so cool. Can you just share with us a little bit of what you're doing and
Sure.
how you're bringing this card and this art to life?
Sure, yeah. So right now, you see these little, like, marching ants that I've got going on. That's a selection in Photoshop. That means that I can't paint outside of that area. So I've, like, basically separated this dog's nose into two, like, interlocking planes. You've got the plane on the top and then the plane on the front. And then, like, the nostril holes are, the darkest dark. I don't want to, like, lighten those up anymore. So we've got the top plane is already light because the sky bounce, and then the bottom plane is in shadow, and I'm just adding the highlights here with my bright white color, or relatively bright anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to. Thank you for like pausing to be like, hey, that looks like a weird thing. Please explain it, because it's hard to know like what is or is not confusing looking.
To be completely honest, this is the boop snoot, the nose of a dog, is for me like when I was trying to find the right art team, find the right artist who could breathe life into this, and really also to a designer, graphic designer who could make sure that we pull forward all the art as well, and move it through such a small medium as a card, right? I mean, the standard card that you hold in your hand. But when I was trying to find folks, and 50 people reached out and said, hey, I'd love to be part of it, or be engaged, like background artists and character designers, and lots of folks did reach out. But when I was drawing and failing at drawing, I think a lot of it came from the nose. The nose, to me, on a dog, it's a very clear shape, and to your point about the darkest dark part of it, but then also to how it reflects the light, and how it is such a recognizable part of the dog. When I drew it, it looks like a pig, like or something else.
Yeah.
It's quite frightening. So I love what you do. I love what you do with the dog nose here, right? And I just feel like as it pulls forwards, I want to boop them on the nose. I mean, you have the Basset Hound portrait, the very regal, noble Basset Hound there on the left too, which I really enjoy. So, this is really cool.
The dog noses are like, I find that that's something that it was something that as soon as I locked this in my brain, painting dogs and doing animal portraits got so much easier. But like, if you can get the eyes and the nose right, then your brain will forgive a lot more about the dog's face. The fur doesn't have to be super detailed or exact. Even the planes of the face you can fudge a little bit. But if your nose and your eyes are in the right place, like, because that's what your brain goes to first, and what defines a dog's expression so much, that like you'll notice that those are the first things that I carved out here to paint. Everything else is on its own layer that can be messy or whatever, but these are the things that I always paint first, because like once you lock those in, the rest of the dog just kind of falls into place around it. And it is really hard to do. Like, that's again, another reason why I do it first, is because I don't want to save it for last, because like, if I can't get this snoot correct, if for whatever reason it just wasn't working, I would rather start from the ground up and draw it at a different angle than I would like spend the time painting all of this and then try and move forward with a snout that doesn't look right, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, this is magic happening. To me, like, and maybe for many of the folks who are watching this who are not themselves artists, who are, maybe folks who are running rescues or folks who are, in the, even board game designers, right? Who know that this is a key component of the product that we work on, the experience that we deliver. You don't know how it's done necessarily, and I think that that's really really cool that you can that you do this and you have a methodology in your mind of how it works. Whereas for me, it's like draw, okay, now pray, okay, keep praying. All right, maybe,
Well,
and then it becomes pray forgiveness.
Well, I mean, let's not get it twisted. Praying does factor into it a lot for me too.
So,
hey, y'all. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my headphones died. I don't know how far into the stream we got, but I've switched to my manual ones now, so I'm just making sure it works.
Yeah, we're good.
I think that's a full 53 minutes.
Wow.
Right? Or maybe even some of the prep time. So
yeah, it's a lot longer than
it's a whole hour. Cool.
And I think that this is why I'm so excited to work with professionals in the space who understand what it is to make this happen. To me, it's like this is like watching. There's a documentary on Netflix called Imagineering, which focuses on Disneyland and Disney and how they kind of create story, but also too they focus a lot on the animation because that's what it is. And I think this is the first thing that's going to draw folks' attention. They're going to pick up these cards, they're going to flip through, they're going to take a look at the art, the illustration before they even look at the game design, right? And that's why to me looking at and seeing it done is just so exciting, because it's moving forwards, right, towards actually being a whole thing, compared to what I would call cards that have no makeup filter, which Sarah and Kiki, you guys have seen because, well, it's a stripe of green from a marker and like numbers to this. It's really really cool. It's really amazing.
And I love those cards still. They're so charming. Even the basic ones. I keep saying that, like, it's like Hippo Dog, I genuinely love Hippo Dog.
I love Hippo Dog.
Okay, I'm not telling him, but Kiki, why don't you tell us the story of Hippo Dog? Because you're the one who made it a thing.
Yeah.
You made it a thing, so.
That's true.
Did I?
Yeah, you drew it on your arm.
Oh yeah.
I did. I still think it would be an awesome tattoo, but I don't know how to tell the story. You're the one that brought it into being.
Well, Alex is great for doing diagrams and doodles and layouts and just like helping to visualize this, and is never afraid to do that. And so that's I forget what like piece of what were we working on when Hippo Dog became
working on the board. We were working on the board, and so I had gotten. Yeah. So my idea here is that we would have maybe all the players are going to have tokens with which to denote, okay, how far along and how close to being adopted by an adopter are you? And so being that we're gonna take this to Kickstarter, the basic core set will probably have maybe a cube or something, a different color cube to denote which player is which. But if we hit our stretch goals and are able to take this to really upgraded board game components, I would love to have a specially designed dog meeple, like a dog character that every person could play, and it would be the same shape but just but different colors. So I drew on the board, like on a whiteboard, components and included in that was what I tried to make a dog. I tried to draw a dog very fast, but instead it was like this like short-legged hippo looking thing.
I've got him on the
and
screen.
Oh yeah.
oh, there he is. There's Hippo Dog. There he is. So, and so I said, well, okay, these are the tokens, and I didn't really think anything of it. And and so like we had the rest of the conversation, but you know, and then I said, oh yeah, and then over there, those are the tokens. Well, that's really a hippo dog, but that's fine. And then and it's taken a life of its own.
We just loved him so much.
There's something about it that's just so charming. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I think it also kind of reminds me of like Egyptian hieroglyphics a little bit, which is why I thought it would be such a cool tattoo.
Maybe I can do that, designing awful tattoos for people.
No, Hippo Dog isn't awful. He's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. I love Hippo Dog even more. So yeah. Something that only people who watch, only people who watch this stream will ever know about, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because unfortunately we don't have a Hippo Dog in Dog's Bond.
Expansion pack.
Expansion pack, right? Where expansion pack. Alex did the art. Like, oh no. We give you $5 and this expansion pack.
Just tuck $5 into each box.
Just here's $5. I'm sorry.
We pay you.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man.
I'd buy it.
Okay, you're first up. Limit one. That's the I think that's another thing, right? Is that like, I look at all of the work that Sarah does and all the work, Kiki, that you do on these really complex technology forms, and applications. So maybe, should we pause a moment, and Sarah, you talk about, a little bit more about the art, since this is one of our art streams?
Sure. So you want to talk about the like my setup or Photoshop, or like, I mean, I can talk about
where you like.
art in general.
Take it where you like. Or Kiki, if you have an idea of what wasn't covered in last time we streamed.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so I'm actually interested about the design, like how do you so like Kiki shows us a lot of just sketches on paper, just like little mechanical pencil sketches. How do you take that into a designed card or designed logo?
Well, there's different processes for each. For a logo, I typically sketch it as close to what I want it to look like as possible. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you've done this before, Sarah, where you put a pencil sketch into Photoshop and paint or draw on top of it. Mm-hmm. That's essentially what I do. I think because I am an artist / illustrator first, I've kind of brought that process into my design work. So I like to approach it as more of an art piece, I guess. Some people really disagree with that line of thought. They like to keep art and design as separate as possible. We've had very long conversation. I agree about how they're both, I don't know, to me, visual art. So I think that they can live and work together. For layouts, I tend to be a little looser because as you're creating the design of a space, it tends to evolve a lot more than just one static element, because you have to work with so many different pieces, and as you put in more and more pieces, it changes. And you have to kind of adjust to each character in the ring, so to speak. It's really hard to explain without
visuals,
visuals, yeah, but it's it really is again, very similar to art, in where if you're trying to make a composition with several characters, you know, want I don't know. You have to plan it first, but it can evolve as it develops, if that makes sense.
Cool. So you use InDesign? That's the one, right? It's not Illustrator, it's InDesign.
I use Illustrator for logos and icons, and InDesign for layouts.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I know some people like to use Photoshop only for layouts, and I have been known to do some layouts in Photoshop as well. Yeah. It really depends, because if you're making multi-page publication, if someone does not use InDesign for a multi-page publication, I do not trust them, and I question their fortitude. But sometimes, like making a single page, it's easier to use Photoshop because you can manipulate the you're working placing the layout.
Okay.
So I feel like this is unrelated and kind of boring. Is this boring?
Well, I mean, it's interesting to me because I don't know a whole lot about, like, even though, you know, design and illustration and like Adobe products, like there's a lot of overlap. I don't know a whole lot about, like, literally how you go from a sketch to a, you know, a finished piece.
Got you.
But yeah.
Alex,
you'll have to be our barometer for, like, when it's getting too art jargony.
Yeah.
I love it.
Are we going
for
too
me,
far?
it's no. For me, it's I mean, this is insight. This is why we wanted to do some live streams, right? Is it an opportunity for us to have the conversations about, you know, not only what's going into, like, final product, right? Which, you know, granted, at the end of the day, I do hope anyone who watches this is like, buy our game, right? Support rescues, right? Don't get me wrong. That is definitely part of it. But I think also too, knowing that there's so much creativity, there's so much passion into this project, that I think that this is just a really great opportunity for us to share that with folks who are interested in it now, who might be watching this, you know, again, like I said, far into the future, right? And for me, especially, like, I don't know that I know what the InDesign logo would look like on a computer. I know what, like, Adobe Acrobat looks like because I make PDFs. But, you know, a lot of this stuff is, like, it's so far outside of my reach and my realm in my everyday that, again, I wanted to charge right into doing something brand new, and that's how I learn things. So this is great. While we're on the topic of InDesign and logos and kind of how you do it, Kiki, we've got the logo of Dogs Bond right there. You want to talk about, like, how that form and fleshed out and came to be? Because that illustration is Sarah's illustration, which I know and love because it was one of the first ones that we did. But yeah, how did talk us through how the logo came to be?
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I think there were a couple of things that started it. Usually you want to, well, I'm not going to speak like I'm an authority on this, but for me, I try.
You're the authority here. I mean, you made it.
Are there any, like, decade-long tenured design professors in the chat? Because if not, you know years and years more than anybody else in this conversation.
Yeah,
I'd call you an authority.
if there's any design professors here, I'm sorry. Put on earmuffs for the next couple of seconds. Okay. So usually first what I want to do is kind of nail down, like, what we're trying to accomplish. So for me, Dog Spawn was to highlight the kind of whimsy of the dogs, but also the strength of their bond. So I wanted part of it to be kind of like
anime. I loved it. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever. What can I say?
Yeah.
Look at my YouTube name.
Leaves represent. Please continue.
Yeah. So picking the font for the cards kind of led into
the full design of the logo, because the font for dogs in that logo is very I don't use the word janky, but I may have to, which is great. That's what I wanted. But I did have to do quite a lot to it to make it not look quite as like, hey, I'm janky. It's more like I wanted to be like, hey, I'm fun. I represent dogs. They're a little rough around the edges, but cute and fun. So pairing that with something solid and, you know, like it's made out of gold. It's a bond, you know? So I wanted to put those two together in a way that kind of like contrasted each other, but also worked together. So the bending of the word bond was to kind of also mirror the quote unquote jankiness of the of the word dogs, while still making sense, if that makes sense. And of course, the paw was always going to be part of it. I wish I had my original sketch here to be like, here's what it looked like in its original form.
I should have it in Discord.
Oh yeah, that's true. I might. I think I do actually. And I should.
Discord, you can at me and I'll whatchamacallit. What's the word?
Oh.
Whatever it is. At me where it is, and then I will show it on screen.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's the story. I should send you a screenshot of the artboard for me making that logo, because I have probably there's probably like 25 to 50 different iterations of it.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy. The way it like kind of like started and then evolved outwards kind of looked like, I imagine, someone designing a logo in prison would do it. Just like scrawling on the wall over it. Like, I can't get it right. So yeah, that's the process.
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, for me, like, it really hits the nail on the head, because, you know, just like what you're saying, right? Dogs are the way they are, and especially the rescues that we're trying to help, right? They are lovable, they're fun, but they're a little bit rough around the edges. You know, one of the things that I really would, well, Sarah and I, when we were working together on some of the illustrations, right? Sarah is so good. She came back with some of these, you know, dogs that look like they had been just brought for like a portrait, right? Like a, you know, a commercial, yeah, or some kind of, you know, advertisement there. And I was like, hey, this is great. Can you make them messier? Can you make them
like shelter dogs,
dirtier? Right. And I think that's, for me, something that is so crucial in this game and in this story, that, you know, these dogs have a lot of love, and they are loyal, they are playful, they are genuine, and we need to give them the opportunity to create that bond with us, and I think that they really can. And something that we talked about was, you know, hey, they're not going to be the curated Instagram one dog, two parents type of accounts, that you might see on the rest of social media, right? These dogs are, you know, they're at the shelter, and the shelter is doing their very best, but these dogs are still great, and they're happy to meet you. And I think that is exactly what we wanted to bring forward, and that's what Sarah has captured. And to know that that's also too part of your thought process, Kiki, and how you even formed just the words, right? I mean, that means so much to me. That's you know, and this is a story that we actually haven't had a chance to kind of communicate to each other. So this is really great. I'm very touched by this.
Yeah.
And then the paw is like, I think we called it the wiggly paw.
Yeah.
Because there's little bits of it that are wiggly, and I love it because it's playful, and it's, you know, it's everything that these dogs are. Yeah. Go.
Sorry, did I tell you what that paw is? Where it came from? So
did you never tell him?
I don't know that I don't know. I didn't make a point to not tell you this, but so
Oh my gosh.
when I was that paw print was, I drew it and then Kiki, so that Kiki could use it for the logo. And in drawing paws, I kept drawing them and they weren't quite right, and I realized that in my house I have the clay paw prints of my dog Splash, who had passed away, and a few of my other dogs, but like he was a perfect crotchety, you know, like I don't know, he was such a good
Your
boy.
dog, like,
Yeah, he was. So my current dog Leo, he's my son, and Splash is his uncle, because Splash was more of a brother to me than a son. My dog. So yeah, Uncle Splash, the kind of crotchety, fun, you know, rough around the edges, had kind of the perfect spirit, I felt like. So I just like, I used Splash's paw print as a reference to draw that paw, and was like, I think we started with that paw, gave it to Kiki, and then we thought, I drew a couple other ones for you. We thought we couldn't use that one, had to move away from it. And then we went back to the Splash paw print, my favorite boy, the best dog that there ever was. And now his paw print gets to be part of this great project that I love so
are you
much.
kidding me? Oh
It's
my
so
gosh, I'm
touching.
gonna cry,
I
you
know.
guys. That's, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, I don't want to go on and on about how great Splash was. Everybody's dog is the greatest dog in the world. Every dog is the best dog that there ever was. But also, I'll never have another dog like Splash. He was,
That's awesome.
he's a very good boy.
Ah, that's awesome. See, and I think that this is, again, right, like something that's the bond, right? That's it's squishy, but it's also golden, right? It is immutable, and yet at the same time it does reach out and it really connects with us. You know, sometimes folks who you know, haven't yet played the game, or if you have played the game, one of the elements in the game is that the active player will have a rope toy, right? And that's a little shoestring bit that we have, and we're going to, you know, when it's your turn, you have the rope toy, right? And when you're playing the game and so forth, that's how you denote, oh, this is for me, this is my time to shine, okay, great. And then when you pass it to the next player, you bark at them, right? Ruff or woof or whatever you can, however your dog sounds, right? And the rope toy is actually a callback to my college dog who has passed away, and her name's Kona, and she was we got her from basically outside of a Walmart. You know, in college, I had asked a roommate, I was like, hey, can you go get the groceries this week? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. And she came back with a dog. And so, so we got a dog. And just the cutest like mix of maybe like definitely black lab, because so smart, so ready to please, but also too like a jaw and like the pull of like a Rottweiler pit bull. So, you know, she had this like really kind of low growl and full bark, which was all bark, no bite. I mean, she was just there to tell you, like, bark, come play with me. Bark, are you here to take all of our stuff? Let me show you where our cool things are. Like, she was just so loving. But the rope toy that we pass around, right? That's how my dog is in the game. And just to harken back as well. So no, I think it's so great, right? We're all we're literally pouring our heart and soul and our bond into this game. I love that that's coming through. So thank you for sharing that. That's such a great story.
Yeah. And I, like, every time, like, it really touched me when you told me about why we have the rope toy. And so I was glad in our one of the cards that we're gonna end up showing on the stream after, I don't know what time it is, but whenever we get there, one of the cards that we're going to reveal is the temperament card that has a rope toy featured very prominently. And I was thinking about her and the rope toy when I put that in there. Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, I don't know, everybody has a dog story. Everybody that loves dogs and has rescued dogs has, like, you see people's faces light up when we talk about, you know, this game being about helping rescue dogs. When we talk about that to people, if they have a rescue dog, they immediately launch into their dog story, or if they're just a dog lover, they talk about their dog, you know, or if they have a basset hound or a golden retriever, or, you know, it's connects people so much. And I'm like, I think about, and in all of these dogs that we've painted, I know one of each of these breeds, and so I'm always thinking about them when I'm painting them. I'm like in these event cards, like in specific the Basset Hound that I knew. He's passed away, but his name was Andy, and he was like he loved food, like, you know, all dogs love food, but like this guy was on it. You opened food anywhere, there he was. And it's dangerous because Basset Hounds are big and they're low to the ground, so it's like if you pop open a can of Pringles anywhere in the vicinity, you better watch your step, because suddenly, you know, if you turn around too quickly, you're gonna trip and fall and break your neck.
That's right. They'll find you. They'll find you.
Yeah. So it's, you know, it's stuff like this that like really helps give more life to the game. Like, I love dogs, and I, you know, it wouldn't be hard for me on my own to kind of like make these fun and lively illustrations, but like, no, they work their way in, like knowing specific individuals that, like, you know, fill the game with personality makes things a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm just rambling. I can talk about dogs forever.
That's okay.
Yeah, right. That's it's dogs bond. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we're here. Yeah, you know, and I think that's so true, right? And you know, most of the folks that I've talked to, played the game with, you know, they're just the same way. Mm-hmm. And then I have some folks who come and say, you know, hey, I'm all about this game. I really love the mechanics. Come back to me when you come with cat spawn, right? Like, and I'm like, oh, I see.
Okay.
I see. And one of my, you know, I went to a friend's house and they have 2 cats, and so we played the game, and they're like, yeah, this is great. And then we're talking about what a next step might be, or, you know, the evolution of this could be, right? Not nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But you know, it was great because the box that I was carrying my prototype in, their cats jumped into. And I was like, oh, all right, make your point. Sure, yeah. Okay. You know, they're in the box and they're looking for the cards that look like them, for the game that, you know, reminds you of them. I'm like, okay, I see what you've done.
You know, and that is very much like that is a very cat person and cat thing to do. It's like, you come to me when you have a cat game.
Yeah.
You bring that to me.
So cat spawn is all cool and fun, but I'm really holding out for frog spawn.
Frog spawn.
Well,
no, actually, my longest time pet that I ever had was a frog.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, Inferno. Yeah, he was a very good frog.
Good froggy boy.
Inferno the frog.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. like a bullfrog, like a little like lily pad frog. Like, what are we talking about here?
He was a fire-bellied toad, but they're technically frogs. I got him from Walmart for like $5, and he lived for 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah. He was
a good boy.
Yeah. But you know what's funny is they bark.
The frogs?
Yeah. Fire-bellied toads, they bark. They sound like tiny dogs, and they just bark.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do they bark a lot? Do they bark for any reason?
Oh. Yeah, they bark during certain times of the year. I assume it has to do with like the spring or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time that he barked nonstop for 2 weeks. I kid you not, like 24/7, just in there squeaking and barking. And I would usually like tap on the glass. Did I tell you this story?
I don't know. I remember you talking about him getting in certain like moods, like in the springtime, and not shutting up.
Right.
But...
Yeah. No, I would typically like tap gently on the glass to get him to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point where I got so frustrated, I tried to like full fist hit the glass to get him to stop, and my fist literally went through the glass.
Oh my god.
I punched a hole in the tank because I was so mad at him squeaking.
Poor guy.
Yeah, no, he was fine.
You just
None of the glass
through his house.
I know. Yeah, none of the glass or anything fell on him. He was perfectly fine. I did not mean to do it. I was very upset that I broke his home.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, that was he lived a long time. So
Yeah. Yeah. So he was fine. He didn't have any like glass related injuries.
no.
Frogs bond. So we have six. Well, we have six attributes, right? So I guess what would frogs bond attributes be? Okay, so one would be like how like maybe temperament, so that they'll be quiet, so that they don't have the house punched in on them.
Sliminess has got to be a frog attribute.
I mean, it's frog attribute. Yeah.
Tongue length. How good you are at catching flies.
Yeah. Self-sufficiency.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there you go. He actually really liked crickets. He was not a fan of flies.
Okay, sorry. You can tell that I'm just drawing on my frog stereotypes here.
Oh yeah. That's really an assumption of you.
I'm sorry. I'm showing my frog ignorance.
I think camouflage would be a good one.
Camouflage is one.
Ooh, camouflage. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Yeah.
But
oh yes, hit me. Okay, I see in the chat. OVP, hit me up when ferrets bond is here. Oh
there
man.
We go.
Oh boy, yeah. So of course I've talked about when I was doing the design, right? I talked about dogs bond. I do want to do cats bond. I really do, genuinely, in my heart of hearts. And then maybe Sarah, you and I talked about like horse. Because I know that there are horse rescues, right? What's really interesting to me is that and I get that. Then it's interesting because I've had folks who they just have cool pets, right? Like chinchillas or pet armadillos and whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, well next you can have alligator bond, and I'm like, okay, well
hang on,
for us, obedience is one of the attributes, so but you would never measure your obedient, you would never go to an alligator and say, okay, well go fetch, and then be like, oh, this alligator is or isn't for me, so
I'm looking for an alligator that is warm and fuzzy, and when it bites my children, I would like him to take it back a notch, maybe leave some of their limbs at least, ideally.
Oh my gosh.
That's Sarah's adopter card for alligator bond.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Please leave some of the limbs on my child.
Well, what's funny is we were joking about frogs bond actually before this, and my idea was to make the adopters princesses.
Yeah.
And the frogs are trying to get kissed by the princess.
Yes.
I like then that the idea is that if sliminess is an attribute, you would actually want that to be as low as possible, because if I'm looking for a frog to kiss, minimum slime, please.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, we can certainly design for it, and hey, if there's the interest and we put it down as a stretch goal, I am totally down to design the heck out of this thing.
You heard it here first, folks. You gotta hit the subscribe button, ring that bell so that you get notified when our Kickstarter goes live. You can push us to the stretch goal of getting Frogs Bond out in the stores.
Frogs Bond. Oh boy. Yeah, I would be thrilled to do it, even just as a mental exercise challenge. That would be so much fun. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've about 30 with just a 30-minute warning for you, Sarah, because I know that you were conscious of the time, but yeah, I just wanted to let you know that. So I think one thing that I wanted to chat about, as we maybe, or not necessarily coming to the wind down, but certainly the wrap for the allotted available time for us, because I know Sarah was like, oh yeah, I do sometimes sleep. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah,
not
we need
often,
you. We need you.
I attempt to. I try. I hang upside down from the rafters of my house in a cloak.
That's one of the wonderful things about sharing this game and talking about it over live stream, or when we do just walk-in play tests. One of my favorite stories of this project so far has definitely got to be, we were in Cary, North Carolina, and we were at the Gamers and Geekery Tavern, and we were doing an open play test at their board game night, and we got a chance to meet with some really great folks locally, a family of 10, 13, 16-year-olds, and then we met like another couple that was there, and we also too met the marketing manager for the entire spot, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun. And Sarah and I had maybe we'd hung out for the past 12 hours.
Yeah.
And we're playing the game, and I'm doing my pitch, and I'm like, okay, well, this is the game, and this is the expectation of our mission, our hope. We want to partner with rescues, and we want to also to bring you a new game. And Allie, the marketing manager, she looks at me and she goes, hey, that's awesome. Well, we'd love to set up a launch day around your game. When is it going to be ready? And I just kind of laughed, and I look at Sarah, and I'm like, yes, Sarah, when's it going to be ready? So,
who knows?
Yes. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll
we've been
know
doing
as soon as I know.
Doing great. I mean, I really do feel like our timeline is working out just the way that it needs to. I've been really emphatic on quality first, and I think that the folks who are going to support this project, not just in the upcoming Kickstarter, but really all the way far into the future, this is what they want, and this is what they deserve. Bringing them, especially folks who might be dog people first, not necessarily board gamer first, back into board games. We are going to explore different mechanics, different game themes that make it possible to play somewhat more complicated games, because our game is casual, family friendly. You can play it in 30 minutes, you can play it in 60 minutes, and it's not as heavy of a game as power gamers would probably look at necessarily. But yeah, I think that's been a lot of our emphasis, and I'm happy to do it. And I am really glad. Again, cannot emphasize enough how happy I am that we have this super team, this small but mighty team, doing this for this project.
Yeah, this I've said it before. I will continue to say it. This is my favorite project. My favorite client, my favorite project. I'm so sad when we're done, but really excited for Frog Spawned. Again, hit that bell. Keep me working. Please make Alex need Frog Spawned.
Yes.
I think it's funny. Similarly, I think I remember up front saying when Alex was like, "Can you do this project? Will you work for me?" I'm like, "I don't do freelance, but I'll do this. I'll do this.
I'll do
cool.
this freelance. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is so cool to pull together such an awesome team of professionals to do something like this, right? Where, I mean, of course, there are many folks who have struck out and done this on their own, but I look at it as, we are going to make a true difference in so many different avenues beyond just the game, which is what I'm also too very much looking forward to. But yes, art is our focus, and I think that this is absolutely the right team to do it. So as we're going through, I know one of the questions that we kind of teased that we were going to talk about is actually getting connected and finding work as a freelancer. So Sarah, you do it quite a bit. Kiki, you do it quite a bit. And actually, I myself am also a freelancer. Technology. But yeah, from from your perspective, what is the, if somebody who's watching this, a young up and coming artist, or maybe an artist who's thinking about, striking out on their own, what do you think that they need to know to find a project as cool as this, that they can be as passionate about as this? But nobody's as cool of a game lead as me, so I guess
Yeah.
But what pointers would you give them?
I think that I haven't been freelancing as long as some folks that I would trust for advice. So my advice is always two parts. The first part is the genuine advice that I have, which is to say you have to be unafraid to say no and know the kind of jobs that you're willing to take, and what your value is, what you're willing to work for. And if you try and chase every lead that's out there, you're just gonna get burned out. It is a numbers game to some extent, but I don't know, I see a lot of folks spending time yeah, I could probably do this random job that I found. I don't have the portfolio for it, but I can take the next 2 weeks to make a portfolio and apply for this job. Get your portfolio, know the kind of shit that you like, or stuff that you're good at working at, and apply for those jobs only. That's the first part of my advice. The second part of my advice is don't listen to everyone's advice. Only listen if it makes sense for you. And not everybody, not everything works for everybody. All advice is at some point, or to some extent, autobiographical. So yeah, don't listen to me if it doesn't make sense. Yeah. I know that you've done some freelance, but a good portion of it has been by me twisting your arm. Is that right?
I wouldn't say twisting my arm, but no, because I did work full time. It's kind of a matter of you only take what you really want to do. And I know a lot of people who do freelance don't have that kind of privilege because they have to actually pay bills by doing freelance, which is why I don't do that.
Yeah, because it's horrifying.
So I think if someone out there is in a position where they can pick and choose their jobs, absolutely choose your jobs. If you're not passionate about it, then sacrificing your couch time to do something is it's hard, So I don't know, pick your battles, I guess.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I would 100% agree. I'm a freelancer too, and I have to pick and choose. I try to find clients that align with kind of the vision and values that I have. Working on projects that you're going to wake up and dread working on is just not worth it's not worth your sanity or your emotional capital to try to force yourself to do something to chase a dollar, right? It's just not worth your time and your energy. Really, yes, being choosy does sometimes come with some downtime. And you sometimes have to fish with a net, not a harpoon.
Yeah.
But when you get to that point, right, where you've gotten the experience under your belt, and you're able to say, this is the kind of work that interests me and will also take care of maybe the food, water, shelter needs, that is critical, right? And especially in freelancing, because it's all at will, and sometimes you've got programs that are better funded than others, right? You might have to think about longevity of the project and the commitment of the project, and also do you trust the person that you're going to work for, right? And I personally, looked at a project, started working on it in earnest, and then kind of discovered in the inner workings how the project was really being run, and I got out.
Yeah.
Right. And even they were paying well, but I got out, and I'm glad I did. And you're never second guess your gut about saying it's time to go.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I can really speak to that right now. Not about this, about my job, but
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, Kiki, you're not going nowhere.
no,
Nope.
like
you're on our super team, and and I'm so excited to have you on it. So yeah, while we're going into that though, and I know we're coming up on the card reveal, right? So some design stuff. So and Kiki, you were talking about kind of the framing of it as well. Do you want to chat quickly about some of the thoughts that have come to you as you've built out the frame?
yeah, I guess. It might be easier
if we're looking at a card while we're talking
well,
about it.
Yeah, but I guess I can give preliminary thoughts and then we can see it unfold as we look at it.
Sure.
So I think it's kind of the same goal was to have a pretty simple frame to present the actual story that's being told. It's like the pages of the book, but all the story is here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I liked the idea of kind of a solid kind of anchor bottom with the text, but I also wanted that rough element.
Oh no.
We're getting to her.
Catching.
We're getting to her.
Oh god, it's catching. Lord, please don't let me be next. Onika's in the chat. She knows that I'm already infected with puns. I don't know why I'm like attempting to play the straight man here. I'm lousy with puns. Anyway.
Yeah, so when we see it, you'll notice there's a kind of painted edge border that's kind of supposed to be tying into the painted style of that's pretty much it. As far as I can explain, there were hours of fiddling to get cracked, but you know.
Yeah.
Luckily no one has to see that. It's not nearly as fun watching someone box up and down as it is watching someone
down.
Yeah, and it's like nudge it and then you stare at it for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Better one pixel left or to the right. So yeah, it's not as fun to watch make a layout as it is to paint, but you know,
but it is just as more vital, I would say, than, you know, like I can move paint around all day, but
digital paint is.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? We were in olden times. We had to paint.
Oh goodness.
Real paint.
Yeah. People still do that. People really out here wilding with actual real life tangible paint, and I don't understand it.
It's actually really interesting. We're cleaning out a bookshelf, obviously because we're moving, but we found some old cut and paste booklet that Tony's designer friend made, and I'm like, this is how they used to do design. They used to cut things apart and scan it.
Wow.
And it made me feel like, I don't know, a youngin'.
Yeah.
Someone would tell me back in my day.
Yeah, I don't think if it weren't for, you know, the ability to have such great communication, and again, this is everything to do with working with professionals. So if you're an artist or if you're a game designer and you're looking at you know, jumping into freelancing, like, you've got to be able to communicate, you've got to be able to really, you know, budget and balance that time. But if it weren't for, frankly, right, like that Discord, like job share, like we wouldn't have been able to get together and start working on this and be as far along as we are. So you know, or have a live stream where we can really share, right, what's going on behind each of these paintings. It's not just hey, we're going to crank this out and we're going to, you know, we're going to sell 1,000 copies because that's how many, you know, copies we needed to buy and one and done, right? Like we really are, I'm very passionate. Sarah's very passionate. Kiki's very passionate. All of us are very passionate about having this be a product that one we're gonna have our names on forever, and continue
Why you
to
say it
talk
like that?
because we're gonna be with it forever. And I think one of the things that, like, we mentioned Monopoly early on, right? We mentioned Pokemon early on, and like, who made those games, right? We don't necessarily know all of their names or how it was made or how it came to be. Now we can share that, and we can showcase the passion behind it. We can showcase the true skill behind it, and it's just it's really a really golden age, an exciting time to be working in, like, especially working in a board game. And I hope that translates through on more of these types of things.
Yeah, it is really interesting to me. Like, I've made plenty of stuff to spec before. I've made like really weird esoteric things. One time for a job, I had to make it was for a Star Trek / Wicked parody music video, and so I had to make.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm in.
It's unfortunately I don't think this project ever made it to be published, but I had to make like a Star Trek inspired panel for a set. Like, point being, I've had to make some stuff that's got some really weird specs, but this is by far like the most fun and interesting, like, intersection of it has a job to do, but we are also welcoming the emotional storytelling aspect of it. Yeah, we're not just telling a story. We're also trying to communicate, an emotion. Certain cards bring up different emotions. It has to be able to function as a tactile card that people are, passing across the table. Yeah, it's really fun and really exciting.
And it's funny, me and Sarah were talking about this early on. It's actually kind of difficult. Again, bringing it back to the communication thing, it's kind of difficult, disjointed from one another, especially when you have to make all different together a certain way. You also have to have the design a certain way to where it reads across the table. Vice versa, like you have to have all elements kind of interlock together, and I think the piece kind of speaks to the unity of the people who made it at that point. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's a really.
I think that's
It's a tightrope that we all have to walk.
For sure.
But but I don't know about y'all. I feel like we're doing pretty good. I guess the public will will judge us on that.
Yeah. No, I think we're doing great.
I enjoy every conversation. I was telling the team, and I'll share with everybody who's watching that. So we're conversating on using Discord, which is not something I normally do. I'm a very email heavy person at work, but both of them said, "Hey, we're on Discord. Great, that's where I'm going." Right, and it's those kind of shifts, being able to say, "Yes, I'm gonna suck at this, but I will try it," and being able to kind of move and grow and flex with one another has been really great. But I am a Pavlovian dog now, because anytime I hear the Discord beep, I'm like, ooh, Sarah or Kiki might have said something. What is it? Ooh, let's go find out. It could be art related, it could be design related, but something's gonna be like here to brighten my day. And I love it. And I hope that, everybody who is, watching this is like able to kind of sense that as well, because it's very, very difficult to come across. This is a genuine great friendship and partnership that we've all got now, and I'm just excited every time I get to talk to them. So
I'm never kidding when I say that Alex is my favorite client and this is my favorite project. Like, it's gonna be. I'm disappointed that I can't save that for other clients when I need to, like, schmooze them a little bit. I can't just lie and be like, yeah, totally, you're my favorite client. sign the contract. It's gonna have to be like, well, you're a pretty good client. End of conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I talk about this all the time, at least with Sarah, working with corporate clients versus working on this project is like north and south.
Yeah.
It's like to get any word in with your corporate overlords, you have to go through a 7-part ritual. You have to write a 30-page document explaining why you chose a font. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just been a very different approach that I've, that I wanted to take, but also too had to take, right? Like I don't, we don't have time to go through 30 pages every time we want to, have a consideration. Also at the same time, right, boils down to Sarah and Kiki, I trust very much. This is something that I've been working on for years, and being able to share it with them and actually have Sarah play it and teach it, and then play it and teach it with Kiki. I mean, there's an intangible value, right, of being able to understand intrinsically what this game and what this project is going to do, which is just, it blows my mind every day. It blows my mind every day. Because I'll say something like, oh yeah, in the game, we've designed it so when this occurs, somebody gains a value. There's an intrinsic value in the game, right? How do we show that? Or how do we remove somebody's card? And like less than a week later, Kiki will come back and be like, yeah, I solved that. Like, it's done.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, and it's been great, huge. And then of course Sarah too, with your illustrations, where I'm like, okay, make this one. One of the best examples that I have is during a play test, I was holding up a card, and one of my play testers said, yeah, I understand the game mechanically, it's fine, it's balanced. When will the game be fun? And I was like, oh, that's a harsh question. Like,
Yeah.
that's a great question. Like, okay. And so she was holding a particular card, and then I flashed up the mock-up of the card that Kiki had done the design for and Sarah had done the art for. I said, well, what if you were holding this card, right, with the art, with the design, and and it was able to do the same thing in the game, and I explained the function in the game. She goes, yeah, this card is way fun. And I'm like, okay, you connect with the art, you connect with the story and the emotion that's being conveyed here, and you're going to be able to use the design to implement your strategy as far as playing the game. And I was like, great. This is exactly, that's exactly the kind of feedback that you dread and desire as a game designer.
All right, y'all. I'm gonna do some. I'm gonna smudge some Cheerios here.
Ooh. Do it.
Let's see. That's blurring. It's not blurring everything the way I want it. I'm gonna make it so currently we've got everything is like stationary. Everything's perfectly in focus, and now I'm gonna make the Cheerios be going at 30 miles an hour.
Make the Cheerio go fast.
The child threw it on the ground at the speed of light.
Yeah.
The Cheerio ripped through time-space.
Let's see. Okay.
Back us now and get a special time-space Cheerio card.
Oh shoot, there it goes.
That's great.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man, I got too excited about that. My husband's trying to sleep.
Oh.
He's probably gonna come in here like, what is your problem? I'm gonna be like, look, Cheerios.
Let's see, we're also gonna blur our child to push him back.
Blur the child.
Naughty children get blurred.
Remove him from focus. as punishment for your crimes.
Naughty children go into the Gaussian blur to atone for their crimes.
Man, that was a wild time.
That was an old meme.
It was. You ever go on Tumblr anymore?
I was supposed to go on today to promote the stream, and then I remembered that like pretty much nobody follows me on Tumblr anymore. So,
oof.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've kind of wondered what would happen. Yeah,
I heard a lot. As a community, folks left it, so that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Hopefully, right now we're only on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube, and some Discord channels that we can manage. But hopefully the the word spreads, and yeah, definitely hit what did you say, Sarah? Hit the bell,
Hit that
the
bell.
notifications, and, share with your friends, and do all that, because
Like,
we're
comment,
gonna.
subscribe.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Yes.
I watched.
Oh,
I outed myself as an MLG gamer. I clearly watch YouTubers and streamers too much to.
Nice.
Now, Sarah, I have an art related question here.
Yes.
Did you use a smart filter for the blur, or did you just duplicate the layer?
I just duplicated that layer.
Okay,
And blurred
got
it.
you.
That allows me to be more selective with which areas, like which objects in specific it blurs.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I usually am too much of a weenie to just straight up blur
Just blur it.
something. I'm like, I'm gonna put the smart filter on it so I can.
Well, I saved the unblurred version.
Right, which is the same thing. So.
Yeah. Okay, I think.
Now I have another question.
Yeah.
Was this kid walking around eating dry Cheerios? Because where is his mom?
Kids eat Cheerios. Kids eat dry Cheerios all the time.
I'm sorry. They're like, here you go, little Timmy. Here's a bowl full of sawdust. Enjoy. Like,
The Honey Nut Cheerios are not regular Cheerios, sure, but Honey Nut Cheerios are good. Kids eat them all the time. That's because they're like easy for little tiny fingies to grasp.
yeah, but you could give them something else. Get the kids some Reese's Puffs.
Well, I'll tell you why they don't put milk in it. It's because of exactly this picture here.
That's
Because Timmy's gonna yeet it onto the ground, and then you're gonna have a milk puddle everywhere. No, thank you.
yeah. You know what? You're right. I'm wrong.
Oh man, I mean, honestly, because of these these are the conversations that do bring and breathe life into the game. But honestly, there are decisions that we had to make, right? Like when we think about it's really interesting when I have done some thoughts, like some feedback sessions for the art. Sometimes people say, "Oh yeah, you need to put these dogs in the dog park," and I'm like, "Oh, I would love to, but who's walking them?" Oh right, yeah. Oh, And I'm like, yeah, they don't just go out on the, and so there's been a lot of like push and pull, especially with the art and the scenery, right? I mean, this card is a good example of like the dog is outside and there's a child probably working with them in the play area, and yeah, sometimes spills happen, right? But like also too thinking about like a lot of our other cards, which I'm very excited about, that are sketched and drawn inside of the shelter environment, right? Mm-hmm. It's very subtle. It's not brutalist architecture and oppressive, but it does factor in the fact that this is like, where is the dog having this event take place? Right here. This is this is real life for them, and what happens in the day in the life of a dog. Back when I was thinking about what to name the game, Dog's Day came in, or like, because like all these events would happen, and potentially since a dog year is 7 years and 1 year of human time, it's like, oh yeah, well, the events happen very fast. Like, yes, but that was too meta. Dogs bond.
Yeah.
Much easier.
Yeah. Well,
Yay, that looks so good.
yeah, I think
Look at it.
I think we're done with our child dropped food event card.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
It's so much. It is so satisfying to put the card frames over top of them.
I bet.
It's like it looks like an actual thing. And also, I appreciate that sometimes, like, so the bottom of the paw here, I wasn't like as happy with, but the frame covers that right up. Text just makes that problem go away.
Go away.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, since we're done, do y'all want to see? We have two things. We're gonna show the viewers some finished cards, and I also have the final render on another card that Alex and Kiki haven't seen yet.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's...
Ooh, risky.
Yeah.
Love it.
If you
Love
hate it, you're gonna have to act like you love it, so that
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not embarrassed in front of the 7 human beings watching this right now. All right.
And the millions who are going to watch this after when we're doing Kickstarter, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Aren't they gonna just want to eat their shorts when they miss this live?
All right, let me put this into Discord here so that y'all can see what I'm. Let's see. Copy, image, preview.
What I just realized right now is you have the absolute power right now to put Hippo Dog into a card.
Oh my god, what if I put it on the kid's shirt?
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Do it.
Wait, no. Oh no.
Alex, you shouldn't have said that. Maybe I will put it
Oh
on
my
a
goodness.
shirt. Or
Oh my goodness.
yeah, it's gonna go somewhere. I don't know where. I'll point some places out in the birthday card when we look at that here in a second. But first, we're gonna look at
Yeah.
Yeah, it sure is a real game.
Mm-hmm. This is awesome. Look at
Yeah.
that. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at that.
I've been a really big fan of the Catch a Flying Disc one for a long time. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like the big bright pop of red that I'm just like, yeah. And I can feel it moving. Did you hit it with the motion blur? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. Extreme. Mm.
never came to get us. They never came to fetch us to go like do the thing that we had signed up to do. So we were like, okay, we were told to play with Tater. eh, Like we're gonna do that.
Oh, that's
Wonderful.
awesome. I also love that his name is Tater. Just saying.
Very good name for a dog.
I'm gonna show everybody the birthday card, and Alex has not seen this. Here.
I mean,
Ooh.
I haven't either.
Yeah, he hasn't seen this either. But you also don't have the power to veto the cards saying
That's
no.
true.
That isn't actually to unapprove it. So here, I'm
That's
gonna put
true.
it in Discord. It's also gonna pop up on the stream here in a minute. There we go. I put it in the streaming channel.
Oh, I don't think they can hear you in the stream.
Oh, no.
Oh my
It looks
gosh,
like-
that's so cute.
Oh.
I love how big his hat is.
Yeah. This is a fun one to paint.
Did he turn 1?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe it's their
Aw.
first
Wow.
birthday. I can put extra ones if we want to make them 3, or I can put like a number on the bone, or something to indicate how old this puppy is. But yeah, no.
No, he's
Oh,
cute.
that's so great. Yes,
This one
that's
was
so great.
very fun to paint. The palm is always like a coin toss. Either I'm gonna have the worst time ever painting the fur, or I'm gonna have the most fun that a person can have. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
Look
yeah.
how the dog is so happy. It's so happy.
Yeah. So, is this approved, Alex? Are you gonna say yes or no to?
Oh man. Well, I mean, hey, I want to hear from the folks who are in the chat too.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
what do you guys think? I mean, this is the kind of stuff that gets to happen, right? We've got a game, we've got the game, we've got the design. I've kind of put down, this is what the card will do. There's a little bit of flavor text, and then Sarah and Kiki just take it away, and then it comes back as magic. So what do we see? Okay, I've got a heart from Dax. Loving that.
Nice.
Thank you. Yeah, it's well. See, that's we need some feedback from some other folks because he's like contractually obligated not to.
Oh, we don't have to out him.
Yeah, it's fine. Just
It's fine. It's fine.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, then yeah, what we can call this one approved. And no,
Well,
I'm
thanks,
delighted.
Dax
I'm
Jackson
delighted.
Stranger, for your
Yeah.
heart emoji.
yeah,
Yes.
thank you, kind stranger. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's so yeah. I guess my audio wasn't picked up through the card reveal thing. It was just y'all talking, but
Womp womp. Well, anything that you wanted to say about the card or your experience painting it? Just to reiterate there.
Let's see. Well, let me pull it up on here instead of on stream so that we like in Photoshop here so we can look at it.
Oh, I've got folks who are not signed into the chats because they might just be visiting or on incognito mode or whatever. But I'm getting texts right now that they love it,
Oh,
that
good.
they love the birthday cards. So
Yay! Great. It's approved then. Well, yeah. I'm bummed out that technical difficulties for my audio being busted. But yeah, we've got so we've got on the left the Border Collie card, the the player character at the top of the game. You get to choose your dog, so you can choose the Border Collie. We have the event card for Catch a Flying Disc, and then we have the temperament card that is one of the attributes to collect. Yeah, and I don't know how much of Tater's story. He was a senior dog at the Wake County ASPCA that we got to visit. A senior dog named Tater, and the floor that you see there on the attribute card here is some of that like texture is from Tater's actual, like some photos that I took of his floor while we were there. So some of him gets to be in the game too.
That's cute.
Yeah, I forget all the things that I said.
Great.
I said a lot of things, but yeah.
You did say a lot of things.
Well, we got the rope toy for Kona.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that it's featured and forward there. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great, and
It's
so fun.
Oh yes.
Oh, the fence. Yes,
the fence. Right. Yeah. So we were talking earlier about Alex, you brought up that like folks are like you should have the dogs in a dog park, but they have to have chaperones if they're in a dog park. That's something that I thought about with this flying disc card. Originally, in the first comp that I did, the collie was just kind of like in the sky, and there was no no like fence or building or whatever to mark that they're safe and not just just tossed out of an airplane or something. I don't know. They could be just like floating in a void. But yeah, I have taken great pains to kind of like keep the consistency in their environment. Like the fence always looks the same in the backyard of their play area. I don't get the opportunity to draw the exterior very much, but that's kind of the same. The walls and the decor and that linoleum floor is all like consistent because they live in the shelter. That's where the game takes place. Yeah. Is there anything else that I said that should be reiterated?
You said the border collie was your favorite dog to play.
Yes, the border collie is my favorite dog to play. There's another.
Why is that?
Because the special ability that they get is there's no downside to it, and I don't have to think very hard to take advantage of it.
I see.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Kiki, what about you? Do you have a favorite? Did you have a favorite dog?
I remember when I played it, I insisted on playing the Jack Russell because he's so cute. But I never used the ability. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think you did use them. You were occupied by. You were singularly motivated in your attempt to get adopted by Jerry.
Yeah, that's the reason.
So maybe you think that there's a chance that you could beat Sarah with a greater margin than 1 point?
Maybe.
Impossible.
See.
Oh.
That's not possible. Sorry.
I think it is.
We haven't. Yeah, we've only played the one time. So we should at some point, whenever we get to make the next prototype that has more of the finished cards, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be really awesome to be able to play with you.
Yeah,
I know.
Definitely.
I'm freaking out at how excited I am. So I was before we were all quarantined. I was working on a set where I was taking the cards these completed cards and popping them into the printable like janky template that I had made in order to like just try it and be like, okay, well, if I print these and and just try with what I had. But wow, what a difference. I mean, just light years ahead, just like worlds apart in terms of like the step up that you guys have brought this game is just, I cannot fully describe it, but I do promise you heard it here first, we will have a no makeup, no filter, like what did it look like when Alex was first designing the game versus the first prototype that Sarah was subjected to versus now. Like we will have the evolution of the cards. So Kiki, to your earlier point about how many iterations it takes to get to where you're going, it's great because we all have that in this, and yes, there's a lot of mathematics happening behind it. But yeah, it's great. Maybe we'll have a whole stream devoted to the behind the scenes stream or something, right?
Man.
Like here's what it looked. Here's what it was. Here's what without Kiki and Sarah. Here's what you would have gotten.
Yeah, I've got some cards next to me. I think last stream I tried to show a card to the camera and it didn't go very well, but I'll have to figure that out for next time to get some side by side, because like as I'm painting these event cards, I like having the actual tangible card next to me. Even though, like, the only thing, like, we've changed the copy, we've changed the layout, we've changed basically everything on these cards, but I don't know, I just like having the spiritual successor, you know, or the original, and then the final right next to each other.
I don't know if y'all saw.
I have. Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I don't know if y'all saw in the chat. We have a guaranteed purchase if Hippo Dog is in game.
Well, Alex, you know what that means. Hippo Dog is gonna have to go on this kid's shirt.
Yes.
Hippo Dog would be somewhere.
Yes.
Or ooh, on the bowl. The bowl he can.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, let's see.
I love it.
This is.
I love that we have an audience that's willing to chip in like ideas, you know, and I think these are the things that, like, as much as they start off as like, what if we could, we're also challenging each other and really getting into the production and the design and the quality of the game, right? And I hope that if the audience enjoys this game half as much as I do now, like, we're gonna go everywhere. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great. There's Hippo Dog.
Yes, there he is.
Let's see. I need to make it a little bit thicker,
Oh yeah.
like a thick boy. There we go.
I love and hate that.
There we go. Okay.
Oh my gosh, is he Thicko Dog?
No. Horrible. Alright, let's see. I like the meta that, like, this could either be a this is like a logo that is on this little, like, kid cup, or
Yeah.
somebody just took a Sharpie and went to town.
I did.
I
did.
I love thinking about this as a logo because I want to know what company it's for.
They make kids stuff. Kids. Maybe Hippo Dog is a beloved children's character in this universe.
I love that.
Oh, look at that! Look, it's doing a thing. Oh man, maybe one of the streams that we should do is, Alex narrates what's happening in Photoshop. I know that those are done very popularly for like makeup tutorials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll see here, she's moving these little dangles to make the Hippo Dog adhere to the surface of the bowl. Now, I call that witchcraft. Kids these days call it Photoshop.
Yes.
Go.
Oh yes, all of it.
Knock him back
I
a little
love
bit
it.
so it doesn't draw too much attention.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. And all of a sudden, Hippo Dog is
Hippo
right
Dog
there.
is canonical.
Oh my gosh. In the Dogs Bond canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I love it. Yep, card is done now. Ship it. Hang on, where did I put I need to put
Send
it.
it to print.
No.
Yeah. Hit it.
Put him back in our frame. Hippo Dog not now. There we go.
You've made here. But now, Alex, say confidently that you've had a hand finished art.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
This piece is now a collabo
right.
between you and me. All three of us. Because it's got,
Yeah.
we've got Kiki's design, we've got my
Right.
illustration, and we've got your logo design.
Yeah.
And from Onika
And
as
hopefully-
creative director.
Yeah.
See, we listen to our audience. We love our fans. Hit like, subscribe,
Yeah.
and share with your buddies.
It's a community now that we have. It's
exactly. Oh,
welcome to the
love
pack, because it's a
Ah.
dogs thing.
Ah.
I like it.
Yeah. Oh man, this has been so fun. We're only 10
Great.
minutes over time, which, like, the record for me.
Oh.
Was there I don't know, is there anything else that we want to share about the game? I mean, I'm prepared to just do the regular housekeeping, like, again, like, comment, subscribe, tell everybody where they can find us. yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else that we want to talk about?
Hit that bell.
Yeah. I think where we're at, this is so great, and we're coming up close. So in April, we're going to be reaching out to rescue organizations and looking to them to adopt us as their official board game. And what they get out of that is, we'll donate to them a portion of our Kickstarter. We're going to donate to them a portion of sales every year that this game is in print, as long as we are their official board game. So it's a long-term commit to those rescue organizations. Genuinely, please share, because that message is tough to get out. Nearly as tough as finding the right artist. But I know that there's a lot of passion for the community, and we are here for it. So if you guys can help us out, we have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Share us at your friends on our stuff. It's really the beginning of this movement for us in the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
and thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us.
Yeah, this has been so much fun. I hope we can, I hope we can do these more frequently, but I am very much in control of that lever when we get to schedule these. So yeah,
we're all stuck inside, so
mm-hmm. We're gonna do more of these very soon. You can follow at Dogs Bond Game on Twitter, on Facebook. Obviously we've got this YouTube channel. Smash that subscribe, just annihilate the subscribe button and ring that bell for more updates on the game. And also, it's not just for updates on the game. This, as Alex mentioned, we're also trying to help animal rescues at the same time. So yeah, if you want to help dog rescues while also getting some fun dog content, smash that like button. Just give it a smash.
Absolutely obliterate that like button.
Obliterate it, yes. Tremendous.
Right, well, thank y'all. Thank you, Alex and Kiki, for we did one stream where it was just me and it was not nearly as interesting or entertaining. So thank y'all both for being here. And thanks everybody else for watching.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
We will. Yeah, we'll send out news of when we're going to do this next. We'll talk to y'all soon.